Good morning, New York. Good morning. All right. So we're here again, once again, for our annual Young Adult convening. We don't say youth much around here anymore because we feel as if everyone's kind of grown these days. And everyone in this room is at least 18, right? I think so. No? We have some 16-year-old in the corner? Yeah, I see your finger. I don't know. My name is Marjorie Parker. I am the Executive Director for JobsFirstNYC. We are an intermediary. Does anyone know what an intermediary is? What is an intermediary? Over there in the corner. Intermediary. Who knows what an intermediary is? Like a liaison? So like a liaison who does connecting. That's actually a pretty good description. So part of what we do is we connect employers to workforce and education programs in the public sector, and we connect the public sector, which is you, so that the colleges, nonprofit, training programs, to employers in the private sector. But we also do another thing. We intermediate between public, private, and policymakers, so that there is policymakers making smart decisions about what will work for you, for the training that you need, for the education that you need, and for the services that your community needs, so that you can get the type of education and training program that's best for your community. So we intermediate between several stakeholders, is what we call it. So this morning we're here because last year, in the last 3 years, we're 10 years old. We're here with our partner, Young Invincibles. Kevin, woohoo! These guys are from Washington, D.C. We're here with our partner, New York City Department of Youth and Community Development, who funds a lot of your programs, DYCD, in the house. I know I saw some DYCD folks this morning. Jenny, hi Jenny. And we have people here from the Bronx. The Bronx is in the house? Yeah. Come on, Bronx people. I'm from the Bronx. We're a little bit louder than that. Bronx in the house? Yeah. That's right. Brooklyn. Brooklyn in the house? Brooklyn. Woo. Hey, Bronx, you just got outdone by the Brooklyn people. How about Staten Island? Yeah. Staten Island? Come on, Staten Island. I know you were here. Staten Island in the house? Yeah. Oh, come on, Staten Island. You know they keep saying you're the forgotten borough. I need you to make a little bit more noise. Staten Island in the house? Yeah. That's right. Queens in the house. Of course, Queens, you're strong. I hear that we have some people from Philadelphia. There's some Philadelphia folks in the house. Atlanta folks in the house. Atlanta over there. Arizona in the house. Boston in the house. I heard there's some Boston folks here. I'm missing the Boston folks. Who am I missing? Who's here that I'm missing? Who's here that I'm missing? I didn't call your borough.
You didn't call. How can you not call?
Manhattan in the house? Yeah. You know, most of us are from the other borough, so we sometimes tend to forget Manhattan. So Manhattan in the house?
Manhattan. Yeah.
All right. Who am I missing? Where? Did I miss somewhere? All right, we're good. We're good. I just wanted to recognize all of you are here. Some of you, I saw some people that were here last year. So folks who were here last year, let me hear from you.
Yeah.
Last year. Come on, last year. I saw a few of you come in. All right? I'm looking forward to chatting with you some more to see how you're here. And God, we're happy that you're here. We're excited to have you here. We're excited to do this with you. Last year, you told us a lot of things. You told us what you wanted to see in the next convening. You're going to get that today. You told us the type of people that you enjoyed listening to. You're going to get those people today. Last year, we had some very popular speakers. They're back with us this year. So if you didn't experience them, then you'll get to experience what the other folks experienced last year. So adapting to the future of work. automation and the impact and work and skills needed for tomorrow's workforce. So how many of you have been hearing robots are going to take our jobs? Right? Have you been hearing that? That robots are going to take our jobs? Come on, let me see by show of hands. All right. Do you think robots are going to take your jobs?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
Well, by a show of hands, let me see how many people think robots are going to take their jobs. Ah. All right, and so I have to assume that the rest of you think that's not going to happen. No? No opinion? You have to participate. The robot's going to take your job? Yes. No. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to show you something short and sweet that you're going to enjoy, and then afterwards I'm going to ask you that question again, right? So here at Jobs First, one of the things that we're always focusing on is how work is changing. So we ask ourselves those questions. How is work changing? What kind of impact is that going to have on the work that we do every day? What kind of impact is that going to have on the training that you have to engage in? So I have 5 little things I want to tell you to think about. Then I'm going to show you a video. Right? About 5% of all jobs that exist today can be fully automated based on today's technology. About 5% across the planet. By 2055, up to 55% of all jobs that exist today, you name a job, it can probably be automated, could be automated, and up to 30% of all jobs in 2055 will not have existed today. How many people remember when there was not a time when there was an app? Like, I remember when we had no app. I'm that old. Yeah, right? So the app industry is actually relatively new. It didn't exist 30 years ago. And the demand and the amount of jobs in that sector is huge. Everyone is building an app for something. It's the running phase. You know, if you want to find something, there's probably an app for that. We're trying to build an app, right? So industry's technology has really changed how the world is, and the world of work is changing, and it's happening quickly. We can't stop it, right? So it's about how we respond to those changes. So I want to take a moment here to show you a quick video. I don't know if I'm doing it. Thank you, JT. JT's masterful. And then I'm going to come back and ask you what you think about the video.
What can we do to protect ourselves and live on our mission?
The CEO explained that machines will replace traditional labor.
This is all about artificial intelligence and how much faster it can process.
Human labor is never going to be cheaper as we get more advanced, so we're just going to have to adjust to that and deal with the results.
For 3.3 million years, humans have developed technologies to make our lives easier. These inventions made us more efficient. It meant we didn't have to spend as much effort working to survive. But each new development came at a cost. When bronze tools were invented, all the guys who made stone tools were driven out of work. And when iron tools came along, all of the bronze workers lost their jobs. When the Industrial Revolution hit, it wiped out the livelihoods of millions of cobblers and weavers who had to adapt or get left behind. And this process continues today. Only now it's happening faster, much, much faster. All kinds of routine jobs have become automated in the past few years, thanks to breakthroughs in technologies like robotics and radio frequency identification, computing, and high-speed networking. And at the same time, another powerful force, globalization, is making it easier for companies to move jobs overseas where wages are lower and regulations are less stringent. In the past 20 years, these two forces, Technology and globalization have wiped out millions of American jobs in manufacturing, from Detroit's auto plants to North Carolina's textile mills. And it's not just manufacturing jobs. We're now entering a dramatically new phase where high-skilled jobs are also at risk. Here's why. Since 1965, computer processing power has roughly doubled every 2 years. All of the computing power that controlled the Apollo mission to the moon can now fit on a chip inside your smartphones. And in a few decades, computers will be thousands of times more powerful than they are today. Already, computers use artificial intelligence to easily beat the world's greatest chess masters, recognize faces, understand spoken language, and even compose music. They can do many of the things that we've always thought made us human, and that threatens many of the jobs we've always thought were secure. Take driving a vehicle, which is one of the top jobs in most states in America. With driverless cars already on public roads, millions of truck drivers, bus drivers, and taxi drivers may soon find themselves obsolete. In hospitals, hundreds of thousands of jobs are on the line, as computers learn to analyze CAT scans and biopsies, deliver low-level anesthesia, and even do surgical procedures. And in restaurants, hundreds of thousands of cooks may be replaced in the coming decades by machines that can follow recipes perfectly without ever taking a sick day or a smoke break. An Oxford University study predicts that within 20 years, 47% of all jobs are at risk of being replaced by technology. That's over 70 million people. And at the same time, globalization is also affecting high-skilled jobs in ways that it never has before. Law firms, for example, are beginning to outsource work to lawyers in developing nations who are trained in American law. These lawyers can do legal research and even review contracts for a fraction of the cost of an American lawyer. Now, just as technology and globalization destroy jobs, it's important to point out that they also create jobs by generating new industries and new markets for American products. We don't know exactly what the future is going to look like, but we do know this. Millions of American workers, white collar and blue collar, young and old, are about to face an enormous, difficult transition. We're living longer than ever before and will be forced to change our jobs more often than any people in history. We're going to need to learn new skills constantly throughout our careers to keep from being left behind. This revolution in the job market is not coming in the distant future. It's happening now, and it's going to accelerate. It's going to affect all of us, our friends, our families, and our communities. Are you ready? Visit us at workingnation.com.
What do you think? What stands out for you? What strikes you? So I asked you before, do you think it's going to change? How many people think robots are going to take their job? Well, not robots, it's AI. Yeah, go ahead. You have a comment? Confirms what you're thinking? Anybody else?
Technology always changes. You can always improve upon it. So I think
to someone who believes technology will create more jobs, and many people believe the same thing too, while there are other people who think that it's moving so quickly that we're not going to be able to keep pace, so we need to come up with other things in the meantime until we get ready. Yes?
There will always come a day where technology will fail us. We're living in that day now. Who's going to fix those machines when they fail you?
Who's going to fix the machines when they fail you? I see another hand. I saw someone else.
Technology just makes, I understand, like it's been saying, I agree with her 100%. But also, the big question is, what are we going to do as people? Because we can't control that. You understand? We don't want to make the technology, and we don't want to let the technology basically, train us by constantly, depending on it. We depend on it a lot. And it's kind of like, if you want to do something, we could be on our phone and just do everything through the phone. And then more than getting a newspaper or going out to the library and doing research.
So we build the technology. We can control it. Is that what you're saying? Right? So how much it affects us, it depends on how much we give to it or how much we allow it to. That's what you're saying. Good.
Would you mind going to the mic to see it? Yeah.
On top of that, it's going to cost the technology also, because right now technology is like $7,600, $300. In the future, we're not going to be able to pay for that, because we're going to be outside at work. Nobody's going to be paying for virtual reality and all new stuff that we really want, like new TVs. TVs like $1,000 now, so all that will be up in price. Like virtual reality, like $500, and all this other phones and apps already cost money, so we can't be able to afford that.
So cost will determine how quickly technology is adopted, utilized. Yes, sir. We'll take 2 more comments. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Folks, come up to the mic.
How you doing? Just in response to what he said about cost, as you see technology become more prevalent, you're also going to start to see costs go down. Just like when computers were first started popping up, they were as big as the room that we're sitting in, and the only people that could afford them were huge accounting companies, et cetera, et cetera. So, also, I don't think that people, there are definitely going to be jobs that go down. Like if you're a taxi driver, you're probably going to lose your job. If you're do unskilled labor, it's going to be a pretty bad outlook for you in 2055. But the idea is to have people who are tech savvy. Like everyone growing up today knows how to use Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel and things of that nature. And that's something that couldn't be said in the 1950s. So hopefully going forward, in the same way, everybody be the same kind of proficient in things like computer programming, app programming, electronics, and things of that nature. And that'll be whole stuff that you learn in school, hopefully. And you'll be able to keep up in the workplace. And because there's going to be so many new industries that come about. Like we saw virtual reality, we're going to see way more apps. We're going to see, like, if you have self-driving cars, you're going to need developers and mechanics and things of that nature. So it's still going to be jobs around. You just got to keep up.
Okay. You're the last 2.
I don't think this is anything new. I want to say maybe up to the 1960s, 70s, where America was a manufacturing economy, and that's changed. And I think back in like the 50s, you didn't necessarily have to get a college degree to get like a well-paying living wage job, to buy a home, send your kids to college. That has changed, so now more people are enrolled in college and degrees are expected. I think it still comes down to a social justice issue. The market is changing like always. It's a matter of access to these trainings, to these opportunities, to higher skill jobs. It's like a continuous cycle. It always happens. So I think we need to focus on not losing jobs, but how we're going to train our young people to be able to access these trainings to get these new jobs. It's like the same issues. It's nothing different. It's just now it's technology. We just need to focus on getting our young people to be able to get these jobs for the new job market.
Okay. Thank you. We have one more person.
Here you go.
Look,
to say that the future is going to be depending on like the programmers who are going to be making these kind of machines and making software. So it's going to be more opportunities for programmers, and I think they're going to be the most superior jobs in the future because the world's going to be depending on them to make these technologies, and they also have the power to control these technologies and order them not to take their jobs away. Basically, meaning that they have the right. I mean, not the right. They have this. We call the power that they can order the machine to its limits and not exceeding them. So if they're going to make AIs, I don't think they're going to let them take away the jobs of those which like they depend on, because they also need some work and some money. So I don't think that machines taking over is like a true fact. I don't believe that, because software programmers are the real reason behind these machines and making these programs, softwares. So I think they will better.
Good. So you, in essence, have what we've heard from all of you. In essence, what everyone is saying. There are folks who said the machines, we control them, and we can tell them what to do. And there are folks who says, oh, they're going to become so smart that we can't tell them what to do. We're yet to know what's going to happen, but that's why we have this day broken down into two sessions. This morning, we're really focusing on the type of jobs, hands-on jobs, the types of skills, the type of creative jobs that we think are going to grow in the new economy. So you'll spend your morning hearing about that. And then this afternoon, we'll address the other issue that just came up, and it is the issue around equity, right? And it's around social justice. And it's about the things that we can control, the things that we can demand for how technology is developed, how technology gets disseminated, who has access to the resource to gain the kind of skills and experience to build those things, and to make sure that all communities benefit from the changes that will come. And so it is, thank you for being here. This list that you see here, you'll hear about all of this throughout the day. Anything you see here that we share with you, we're going to email it out to you, right? We have your email addresses. If we don't have it, make sure that you give it to someone at the front desk, and you'll get everything that we have. These are some of the quick things that we'll cover this morning. You'll have that as well. But I've taken up enough of your time because really you're not here to see me. I'm just passing time. We're here to see the next really exciting person who will set you on fire and have you jumping up and saying, I want to go out and pump your chest and say, I will do something. This gentleman is an entrepreneur, is an author, who's been recognized by the White House for his service in expanding financial access to our education for youth in communities across the nation. Born and bred on the south side of Chicago, he's a 13-year alumnus of foster care who secured over $1 million in scholarship awards before entering Morehouse College as a first-generation student, where he graduated convened. A serial entrepreneur, he's the founder and CEO of $1 Million Scholar, founding partner CEO of Grow Capital, chief strategist at DQ & Partners. His work has been highlighted by the Associated Press, Huffington Post, CNN, Time Magazine, BET, amongst others. He lives right here in New York City, so you can talk to him afterwards and try to figure out how you get to access him after. He's pursuing a master's degree in education and entrepreneurship at the University of Pennsylvania Graduate School of Education. Please join me in an exciting welcome for Derrius Quarles.
I like that welcome. I like that. Get some more of that energy. That's what I need this morning. I know you all have joined us very early in the morning. If you're like me, you got up very early because you knew the MTA was probably going to be delayed. Luckily today the MTA was not delayed. The number 5 was running all good. That never happens. So I know today is going to be a good day. And I know this message that I have for you is going to be a great one. It's really a great pleasure to be in this room here with you all today. I was a panelist last year, and today I have the opportunity to keynote. that serves as an example in and of itself to all of the youth in the room to continue striving for more, continue looking for new opportunities, seek them out. Don't just wait for them to come to you. Being here at this podium is an example of that, first and foremost. I'm humbled to have this opportunity to do something this morning that I love, and that is connecting and sharing with others through public speaking. So I must first thank Jobs First for the invitation and express appreciation to everyone on the Jobs First team who had a hand in planning this convening. Let's give them a round of applause. I was born on the south side of Chicago. The first place I called home were the Robert Taylor Projects. The Robert Taylor Projects no longer stand, but they once stood from 35th and State on the south side to 51st and State. If you know anyone who was raised in the Robert Taylor Projects, then you know that it's a hard place to forget. I remember it as a time of extreme hardship for my family. Our 2-bedroom apartment housed 11 people, and I slept in a bed with 3 to 5 other people on a regular night. You know, in the black crib, we sleep head to feet, that's how you do it. Food stamps and welfare were the norm. Drugs were an opportunity of self-employment for many of the residents, including my uncle and father. My father was a drug dealer, a well-known. He was killed in 1993 after he attempted to break up a fight. He was stabbed in the femoral artery in his thigh, and he was announced dead on arrival. He bled to death in the ambulance. I can recall the fun times my brother and I had playing in the park next to the Robert Taylors, as well as being small enough to be bathed in the kitchen sink because we didn't have a bathtub and I was small enough to fit in it. My mother became addicted to cocaine after being introduced to it by a boyfriend. As time went by, when she developed this addiction, drugs took up an increasing amount of her time. We started to see our mother less and less. Drugs became so important that our kids became second place, even if that meant leaving our kids home for days at a time, or even putting them in danger. I spent many of my nights in a cold and confused state because my mother wasn't there and because we didn't have any heat besides the stove. My mother would spend days, sometimes weeks, away from the apartment. And then one day, she just left. She left no food in the refrigerator and no money to buy anything to eat. So at the young age of 9, my brother had to teach me how to steal from the local corner store so that we could eat. I was 9, he was 9, I was 5 years old at the time. Because you see, that was a technique to putting bologna in your shirt, stuffing white bread down your pants, getting enough just so that we could eat, and then running out of the store. It was wrong, and I think my brother knew that. I didn't know it at the time. Yet we had to eat, and our stomachs constantly reminded us of this. My brother and I would frequently sleep at our friend's home. Sometimes we would even sleep in cars. It wasn't long before our neighbors noticed that we were always without supervision, and they notified the police, which caused an investigation to be started by the Department of Children and Family Services. Shortly thereafter, we were taken away from the apartment and placed with our aunt. For nearly 7 years, I did not see or speak to my mother. I did not know if she was dead or alive, incarcerated or free. She was simply gone. I entered high school in 2005 with a background that I felt gave me an excuse to do whatever I wanted. Suspensions, I had an excuse. Being late for class almost every day, I had an excuse. Cursing out teachers right in front of the classroom, I had an excuse. I had an excuse for pretty much everything during my freshman year of high school. I did not have a job at the time, and money was tight. So I thought that a good way to make a small amount of money was to sell candy in school. That sounds like a good idea, right? But I decided the better way would be stolen candy. Let's sell stolen candy in school. I figured that if I stole the candy bars, I would make 100% of the profit. You see, I embraced capitalism from an early age. Come on. A good week would bring in about $50 to $60 a week, which would be enough to buy some new shoes and clothes. What I did not realize at the time, though, was that this $50 to $60 a week was only temporary. Eventually, I would get caught. And that day came, and when that day came, I was placed in a cold Cook County jail cell. I can truly remember it like it was yesterday, because I was the only one in the jail cell. I was supposed to be at school that day. I decided to, do my local stop at the Walgreens, as I would do every morning. Put about 30 candy bars in my coat. That was the routine. Unfortunately, the routine didn't work that day. Ended up in this white room. It literally looked like the Matrix because it was an extremely vast room, yet I was the only one in it. The AC was cranked up to the max. I later learned that they specifically keep the air conditioning up so that you cannot go to sleep while you're placed inside of this jail. It's sort of a form of torture. Right. And within those 3 hours of being extremely cold, being the only one in this jail cell, I had a lot of time to ponder. And what came to my mind were quite a few thoughts. I thought about my family and everyone else in my family who had been incarcerated. Thought about the fact that my father had been in jail. I thought about the fact that my uncle had been in jail. I thought about the fact that my other uncle had been in jail. And my other uncle had been in jail. My cousin had been in jail. My other cousin had been in jail. And that my brother had been to jail as well by that age. And then I thought about my life and what I wanted. And I vowed that I would set a new trajectory, one that did not include prison. I finished out my freshman year with a new perspective on life, but I was still not motivated academically. I just did not understand how school was connected to my future. That was until my biology teacher from freshman year, Miss Nataki, invited me to take an accelerated honors environmental science class. She simply gave me a nod, tapped me on my shoulder. She said, Derrius, I think it would be a good idea for you to take this class in the summer. Now, I was doing well in her class currently. So the idea of taking a class in the summer that I didn't fail, nah, that really wasn't on my mind. I wasn't gonna go originally, but as days passed, I decided, what else am I doing? I'll give this a try. But I missed the first day of class, and of course, the second day of class, I came in late. I think I'm a pretty smooth guy. I've always tried to do that. So I walked into class real smooth. I knew I was about 45 minutes late. And I walked in there smooth enough that I thought Miss Nataki didn't notice. She kept teaching. She kept teaching for about 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, I really thought like, yeah, I actually came in and she didn't notice. 30 minutes later, she kindly told me, Derrius, could you step outside for me? Now, I didn't know what this was about because I thought I was smooth enough that she didn't notice. When I stepped outside, though, she stared at me for about a minute. And that's when I knew something was up. And then she told me, Derrius, you have so much potential, yet you choose to waste it. Those words changed my life. In that moment, I can remember crying. Because that was the first time in my life that anybody had ever told me that I had potential. I was 16 years old. I can specifically remember all of the people in my life who told me that I wouldn't amount to anything. All of the people who told me that I wasn't good enough. And for the first time in my life, somebody told me that I had potential. And that was enough to spark something in me. I finished that summer one of 2 students to receive an A. And from that point on in school, I averaged an A. Turned a 2.5 GPA around to a 4.3 before I graduated. Ms. Nutaki reminded me that I was never inferior, but that I had the potential to be great. Recognizing this potential in myself is what allowed me to throw away that sabotage of laziness. About a year later, I turned 16, and I began arguing with the Department of Children and Family Services for an independent placement. I was 16 and I wanted to live on my own. Unfortunately, the law stated in Illinois that you had to be 18 years old to take advantage of that specific program. I literally had to act as my own attorney on my own behalf to request a specific pardon from the judge. That required me to deliver 2 sessions with the same judge where I had to argue my case. The first time my case was denied. The second time I filed an appeal and the motion was then put in place. Went in front of the judge again, presented this whole case. Literally, I can remember it, suit and tie, 16 years old, being my own attorney. I looked up all these definitions and different things in the books, understood all the ramifications, and I presented my case, and they approved it. 2 weeks later, I was in my own apartment on the South Side. So for the last 2 years of my high school life, I played the role of student and parent. I was my own legal guardian. And that is the arc of my childhood journey. You can sort of say the outline, because I only have 20 minutes and not go into all of the details. But know that I was born in Mercy Hospital, taken home to the Robert Taylor Projects, slept in cars in the home of neighbors, stole food from corner stores to soothe my empty belly, was taken away from my mother, placed with my aunt, shipped out to a foster home, ran away from a foster home to my grandmother's doorstep to finally living on my own. Like so many youth in Chicago, struggle was my reality. That was my childhood. But that is far from what my life is today. Today I am so far from struggle. I was a millionaire before I graduated high school. Now, that wasn't $1 million in the bank cash, I wish, but it was $1 million in scholarships. Scholarships that would allow me to graduate debt-free from a $50,000 a year college institution. I've been to 19 countries and 5 continents in the past 6 years, all for free through these scholarships. I'm a best-selling author, and I own multiple companies that are all growing. Make no mistake, I'm proud of these accomplishments. But just as proud of these accomplishments as I am, I'm honestly much more excited about the things you all have the potential to do. I'm excited because what I'm going to provide to you today is some insights about career and life that I wish I had known starting out in my journey. If you truly reflect on these insights and find a way to apply them to your present life, I promise, 100% guarantee, or your money back, that it will accelerate you towards your goals as a young adult faster than I was ever able to. I will start with 2 lessons I wish I had known about the process of living a fulfilled life. These are more philosophical things, so allow these to just marinate. First, I wish I had known that I had so many people to appreciate and say thank you to during even those hard moments in my life. I wish I had known the importance of showing appreciation to those who sacrificed for me, the people who sweated and worried about my success. Whoever those people are in your life, your mother, your sister, brother, mentor, best friend, whoever those people are, show them. Don't just say it, but show them that you love them. Show them that you appreciate them. Show them that via how you treat them, and reciprocate the support that they give you in the best way that you can. Second, I wish I would have known the extent of my own greatness. That I did not have to be the titles other people applied to me throughout my high school years. That when I was asking tough questions in class to challenge the person teaching, I was not being disruptive, I was being inquisitive. That when I said I would win $1 million in scholarships, I was not being arrogant, I was being aware of my potential. That when I was selling candy in class to get money for a pair of shoes, I was not being a hustler, I was being an entrepreneur. Now let those philosophical insights speak. But before I end, I also want to give you some practical insights, because we're here talking about the future and how that will impact your ability to gain fulfilling work. And so I want to give you some pieces of advice around career as well that I've picked up through my experience post-college. First things first. The person who told you to do what makes you happy lied to you. And the other person that told you to follow your dreams, yeah, they lied to you. They lied to you if they didn't tell you to do what you love or to follow your dreams only after you have a healthy financial base for yourself. Do not, I repeat, do not force yourself to starve because you believe that is the natural progression to making it big. It does not have to be. I have done both. And what my experience has taught me is that the wise Oprah Winfrey was right when she said, do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. When it comes to doing what you have to do, what that will most likely translate to is making money. We all have the need for it, although we hate to talk about it for some reason. I have found that the best way to do this, make money, is to first identify and hone a skill or a set of skills that have a competitive opportunity to help you generate income. These skills will be distinct for each of us, as we all have different talents and interests. But qualities that make a skill competitive as an income-generating skill include whether or not you could do it anywhere in the world, whether or not it will be a skill in demand over the next 10 years, as the video talked about, and whether or not it is a skill you can practice while handling other responsibilities in your life. To give you an example, for me in my own life, website design, having the skill and the ability to be able to design websites has checked off all of those problems for me. No matter what's going on in my life, that's a skill that's in demand, that I can generate income from anywhere in the world, and that I can do it while handling other things in my life. Once you have honed a skill and you can generate income from it, I encourage you to reinvest a portion of that income into systems that can help you decrease your dependence on a traditional job for income. I don't even think we should be talking about jobs today. We should really be talking about careers. We should really be talking about skill sets that set you up to be able to do whatever it is you want to do. Not simply get a job, but to create them, to create one for yourself even. This system could be a business, or it could be a process to generate passive income, meaning income where you do not have to trade time for wages. With the profits generated from these systems, reinvest it back into yourself and reinvest a portion back into the system so that it can grow. So for instance, if you have a system where you're generating passive income, take some of that income, reinvest it back into the business that you're building, or reinvest it back into yourself for accelerated growth. My last piece of wisdom when it comes to identifying work or career that is fulfilling starts with the story. And it is a story that I have yet to share with anyone besides my close friend who I went through this experience with. When I graduated from Morehouse, I decided to turn down graduate school to become a full-time entrepreneur. That's the period of my life where I decided to start. my company, $1 Million Scholar, I got accepted into a program in Atlanta. We were currently based in New Orleans. We got accepted to an accelerator program in Atlanta. What that meant was funding for us and mentorship and guidance. So we decided to hit the road, take a road trip from New Orleans to Atlanta. On our way, we stopped in Alabama for gas. All I can remember of the moment was looking into the rearview mirror and seeing 2 Alabama State Patrol cars pull up. 2 officers exit, one on the left and right side. They come up to the side of the vehicle. We're looking, nothing has been explained. We roll down the windows. Officer, is there an issue? Yes. An issue has been reported, and we're just coming in and check on it. May we see ID? Is there a problem, officer? We're just here to get gas. We're on a road trip. There's been no issue. Are we suspected of having committed a crime? All of those things that we're taught to do on YouTube, I followed them to the T. I was respectful. I had a suit on that day. And I talked with the properest English that I could talk with. Nonetheless, the encounter didn't go so well. Wasn't soon until the officer had his right hand on his pistol, and he was yelling at my co-founder and I, saying, if you do not exit the vehicle right now, I will bust the window out of this effing vehicle, and I will take you out of it. This was right around the time that Ross and I were watching TV, seeing that black brothers all across the country were getting gunned down, police officers being taken to trial, quitting. And it was in that moment that I had a choice. I had to ask myself, what am I going to do? And I knew what would happen if I went the left direction. I decided to go right that day. I decided to survive the encounter because I honestly believed if I did not exit the vehicle at that exact moment, I saw a young lady who actually had her phone out recording the whole incident. I honestly believe we would have either been killed or severely injured in that locale in Alabama that day. But I want to tell you why I survived, decided to survive the encounter. I wanted to fight that day. I knew what was happening to us was unjust. But I decided to survive the encounter because I knew I had more important work to do outside of that moment. And I knew that work wasn't just about me, but it was about all of the youth I was serving through the company that I got accepted to that accelerator. And so that day I survived the encounter because of the more important work that I was doing. But I learned a very, very important lesson that day. And that lesson was no amount of education, no amount of money, no smile, no suit and tie will save you from the realities of being black or brown in America. It was there that I realized that my degree didn't matter. It didn't matter that I was a tech entrepreneur. It didn't matter that I survived the south side of Chicago. I would have been dead on that Alabama street that day, and nobody would have cared. And they would have told my story later on. They would have said he was a good boy. They would have said he was doing good work in the community. He was a servant, he was a leader, he was an activist. They might have even marched for me, but I would have been dead. So I survived the encounter. But I survived that encounter a different man. I survived that encounter knowing that, you know what? I'm going to be black wherever I go from henceforth, because it does not matter if I attempt to put on a mask and be something else. And it was from that day moving forward that I decided that I had to do work that incorporated social justice inherently into it. I think that's what many of us are missing today. We have guided missiles and misguided men, as Dr. Martin Luther King said. Our technology has advanced much faster than our social conscience. And so we sit here and we talk about jobs, and we talk about training youth to become programmers. But we don't talk about what they're building. We talk about these skills, but we don't talk about what we're going to do with the skills. I encourage you, I urge you today, use my story, use my example as a means to see that it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you do it, but you don't change lives, it's meaningless. And so what's most important that we get from today, that I hope you get from this speech, allow social justice to be a part of the daily work that you do, not just something you do on the side. Don't just volunteer. In fact, stop volunteering. Find a way to incorporate the movement for justice into your everyday work. And you do not have to do them mutually exclusively. That's not the case. People love to tell this lie to us as black and brown youth, that if you want to do good in the world, you cannot make money. It's a lie. There are plenty of ways to seek out a better world, to do work that creates a better world, while also living a life of abundance, particularly financial abundance. I'm living that life today. I have friends who are living that life today. And so that is what I want to give you as young people. Never think that those two things are mutually exclusive. Doing good and making money. That's what capitalism has many of us trapped within a mindset of. We cannot do both at the same time. To do one means you're sacrificing the other. That is not the case. And that's what that run-in with those Alabama State Patrolmen taught me that day, is that I think we should all be activists. We should all be feminists. We should all be anti-racist. We should all find a way to incorporate these things into our day-to-day life, not simply on the weekends. And so I say all of that and will leave you with some parting words in the form of spoken word. Why am I here? I am here because I am chose, no doubt in my mind that I am the rose that grew from concrete. Gunshot sounds from the Chicago projects, concrete grounds for the homeless reject, ejected from a few foster homes, elected to be nothing more in life by some. There were those who thought I would study the cells of prison rather than the cells under a microscope. I wish I had a global microscope. If so, I would scope in on the people that are shocked that I am standing in front of you speaking. They would be the people in the Petri dish asking, how is he here? And I would respond, I am here because I am chosen, woven from the cloth of my ancestors who would pick the cotton and send it to the cotton gin, and the cotton gin spin, 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 and the cotton gin spin to deceive the cotton that made the cloth of injustice. The oft-10 forgotten slaves who would not take the name given to them, so they would hang them by the wrist, and with the whip they whip, 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 and into the whip slit and split the skin of my great-great-grandmother. These thoughts may seem dismal at first, but upon further analysis they are great, because she sacrificed her blood and her sweat and her tears and her flesh and her mind and her time to allow me to be the chosen one, standing here at this podium under this sun, son of a drug dealer, son of a drug abuser, but I am still here, chosen to be the one that helps to extinguish the various inequities within the various microcosms of the globe, chosen to be among those that help to relinquish the chains of disproportionalities and inequalities. Why are you here? You are here because you are chosen. Somebody or something brought you here today to get awoken. So in some small way, shape, or form, the responsibility lies with you now. Will you accept reality sitting down, or will you stand up and paint a new background on this canvas called your world? Well, no matter what you decide to do, know that excuses will soon become inexcusable. Remember that today you were chosen intentionally, and your future success will depend upon you acting deliberately. Be wise, and remember these words spoken. Be great, and remember that you are chosen. Be wise, and remember that these words spoken. Be great, and remember that you are chosen.
Wow. No, I told Derrius this morning that he was going to be a really tough act to follow. Let's give him another round of applause. The story was real, right? It was impactful. And that's exactly why we're here today, to be real and impactful about all of your, in fact, all of our futures. Who am I, by the way? It's a good place to start. I'm Tony Gaston. I'm the Senior Manager of Business Solutions at an organization called precarious-employment. What we do in a nutshell, we provide technical education to individuals looking to start a career in IT and web development. Why am I here today? Why am I standing up here now? Well, piggybacking on something that Derrius mentioned, all of us want to pursue what we love and what we dream about. However, two things he said are absolutely correct. You cannot do that if, one, you don't have a strong financial base, and two, you don't establish the skill sets necessary to succeed. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And increasingly so, because you guys heard the statistics earlier, heard words like globalization, you heard about the growth of technology, you heard about the fact that within the next 2 decades, almost 50% of the workforce will be replaced by automation. Now let's do the math. Currently there are over 200 million people that live in this country. In 2 decades there will be just about 400 million people. That means 200 million people will be without the same type of jobs that are available today. That includes all of you. Potentially that includes all of us sitting here today. So what are you going to do? Well, we're going to address that in this panel today. Today this panel will focus on concepts around starting a social venture, running your own business, and being a young entrepreneur. So at this time I'd like to introduce our panelists. We'll start with Rachel Cargill. She is the founder and CEO of the ADC Collective and co-founder of The Ripple. Now the ADC Collective, what they do is they provide professional administrative assistance to young entrepreneurs. I would be remiss to not mention that Rachel is a veteran of the Air Force and was recently featured in a viral photo during that Women's March on Washington. And she held up a sign that said, "If you don't fight for all women, you fight for no woman." Certainly she is a powerful woman. Let's invite her up to the stage, Rachel Parker. Next panelist is Kaz Marte. Kaz has a very powerful story that I'll allow him to tell you himself. However, he is the founder and CEO of Convened, an organization that deals with fitness and wellness. Interesting fact about Kaz, if you ever want to learn how to make a prison burrito, he has made videos on that. Kaz Marte, come up to the stage. Our last panelist is Hannah Dunwala. I knew I was going to butcher that, Hannah. I'm so sorry. Hannah is the founder and CEO of Transformation, a company that's mission is to reduce food waste. And it makes sense because of where Hannah grew up. She grew up in a place where food waste was not tolerated. You did not waste food because it wasn't an abundant commodity. Hannah, please come up to the stage. This time I'm going to be quiet and take a seat. Good morning, everyone. Morning. How's everybody feeling today? Fine, yeah. Awesome. I like audience participation. Is everybody excited today? Yes. Fantastic. So I'm going to make this easy for you guys, or as easy as possible. I'm not going to throw any super hard questions at you. I think all of you will be able to engage very well. We're going to start out, with a softball question. Why don't you tell me and the audience a little bit about yourself, your background, your business, and what the inspiration for starting that business was. We'll start with you, Rachel.
From what you said earlier, I do a lot
So a lot of the women that we hire, stay-at-home moms, military wives, women who are retired, we're tapping into a skill set that's not necessarily always looked to or used, and we give these women a chance to do meaningful work. So that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from, to be able to give just really great opportunities to a subset of people that aren't always called on.
So sorry, thank you, Kaz.
Hi, my name is Klaus Marte, and I'm the founder and CEO of Convody. What Convody is, it's a prison-style boot camp that hires formerly incarcerated individuals to teach fitness classes. So we have 2 locations in Manhattan now, and we have our online platform, which is really taking off. This is all based off of my experience in prison. I did 6 years in prison. I was told that I was going to die in prison because of my health issues. I was highly overweight, cholesterol levels were through the roof, and I told myself I was not going to die in this hellhole. I began working out. I eventually lost 70 pounds in 6 months, and I helped over 20 inmates who's over 1,000 pounds combined. And I said this is what I wanted to do when I came home. And I started doing it in local parks, renting out studios, and it got so crazy that I needed to hire people, and the people that I knew were formerly incarcerated individuals. So right now we're going back into the prison system, going back into Rikers Island, training inmates to become certified trainers so we can create a direct pipeline from the inside out. I got actually one of my trainers, shout out to Sultan Lee, the big scary guy over there. He's soft. But thank you, and that's what I do.
Because before we move on to Hannah, I know we spoke last week, and you explained exactly how you were able to lose that first 70 pounds while in the jail. So can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, I gotta get people's money to go on the secret sauce. Yeah, I mean, I went, as soon as they told me that I had these health issues, I went right back to my cell, and I was motivated. I was like Rocky, and I did a couple jumping jacks, dips off of the side of my cell bed, and then I passed out in 5 minutes. And I was like, I can't do this fucking shit. Excuse my language.
Let's be real.
Yeah, and I laid back, and I just started looking up at the ceiling, and I started reflecting, and I said, I need to start moving. I need to really take this seriously. So the next morning I woke up, and I started running the prison yard. People call me Fat Forrest Gump and all kinds of other crazy stuff. But I kept running, and I kept going back to my cell and working out, and I built myself up to working out to like 3 times a day, 3 hours a day. And it became a habit, it became a sense of freedom for me. And then I started getting other people intrigued in the yard, and we started working and started building this camaraderie. Didn't think much of it until I had something that happened to me that woke me up and said I needed, to change my life around. I was in and out of jail in the system from the ages of 13 to 27. Incarcerated 10 times, 6 years in prison. So, yeah.
Thank you for that cause. Hannah?
Hi, I'm Hannah. So by a show of hands, can you show me how many of you have ever been to an event, be it a party at your school, an office party, a gala, a wedding, where there's been a ton of food left over by the time you've left? It's really awkward when no one raises their hands. But yeah, so what we do is we have developed a system where we pick up and redistribute that food specifically. Because you have your food rescue organizations that do grocery stores and restaurants, but when it comes to events, the time frame is so small that it's difficult for people to find somewhere to send the food or to have someone come and pick it up. And so we started this in 2013, and I actually pitched it when I was in college for a business competition. I was a studio art major, so it really had nothing to do with anything that I was involved with, but we thought it would be a fun thing to pitch. We lost very badly, but we kept pitching it in different places, and eventually the idea caught on. And now the way that we work is a lot of people call us the Uber for food waste. So in the same way that a passenger can request